Hey everyone, Brian from IGN here alongside Jon Ryan.
Hi there.
And James Faulkner.
Hello.
Hi. We're here to talk about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, specifically the single player portion. I put up my review on day 0 and I gave it a 9.1, as you can see right there. I think it's amazing. We're going to talk about just the single player part for right now. So before we jump into it, let's go ahead and roll the verdict from the review.
The way Sledgehammer has integrated movement into every aspect of how we fight has gone above and beyond. By designing the levels and objectives in the campaign, co-op, and multiplayer to facilitate those new mechanics, Advanced Warfare is granted a weight and importance that changes how Call of Duty feels. This is a Call of Duty game to its core, but one that rehashes as little as possible while still retaining its strengths.
So let's talk about the gameplay.
Yep.
I want right away, real quick, just your first impression.
I was very impressed. It was far more varied than I was expecting, and it was far more than what I had come to expect with Call of Duty games, where it's just run down the hallway, shoot some bad guys, run down the hallway, shoot some bad guys.
Follow the guy, shoot the guy.
Yeah.
But
We've talked about that a lot, where like the last couple Call of Duties have come down to that, and this had the moments where you kick in the door and everything goes into slow-mo, and it's very.
But they
Call of Duty
changed
moments.
those up enough
Yes.
that I was like, okay, we're gonna breach the door. And what happened there?
Or the part where you actually put like these little like sensors on the wall, and then you shot people through the wall.
that was great.
Creative breaching.
Yeah, creative
exactly.
breaching.
Just a little side note. Sometimes it's great because you breach and you set up and it's like, here's a mute charge. We're going to turn off the sound.
that's
We're
the
going to sneak in.
best
But
thing.
sometimes you breach and you just kick the door down.
I
And
figure
it's like, all right.
that's like your only two options. You're either gonna do it super stealthily, or like I love how the prompts would come up. It was like press square to open the door, and then it's just like square. I was expecting but no, it's smash,
Okay.
toss.
So
great.
I gave the game its amazing score, mainly because of the multiplayer, but I still had a lot of fun with the campaign. The mission variety is what the main thing I
Yeah,
liked was.
absolutely.
One of my favorite first-person shooters is Crysis, the first one.
Yep.
And it gives you tons of variety when you see enemies, you approach them, and you're like, how do I want to take these dudes down, or do I even want to at all? And Advanced Warfare, some of its missions follow the, you're going to follow this guy down the
Follow
line.
him, shoot
but
bad
some of
guys,
them really
continue.
step out of the comfort zone and do new things.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, there
Let's
was
talk
that.
about, I know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
Stealth
that.
level?
Yeah.
Gosh, so
Let's do it.
good.
Well, it's a well-crafted level, but it felt honestly like while we were playing through it, it felt more like a Splinter Cell game than it did Call of Duty. Like I half expected Michael Ironsides to be like, I've got to get this back to.
And they also
Where does that come from?
Seriously.
They also introduced new a new mechanic in terms of like the grapple pull, where you like spike people through the chest with the
You,
grapple.
you straight up do the scorpion, get over here,
Yeah.
but without the yelling because you're stealthy.
Did you ever kill an AST with one of those?
No.
Oh my god, it's so amazing. Like
me.
you grapple and then you yank and everything goes slow motion. You like yank the dude backwards out of his giant exoskeleton, and then like the camera like pans so it's this way, so you're looking at him and he's just like whoa, and then you just crush his face into the sidewalk.
clearly
It's so
messed up
amazing.
and
It
should have
was
given
so
this
good.
game a 10.
You chose so poorly.
But one of the most impressive things about that mission is that Call of Duty is not a stealth game.
No.
And stealth is hard to do anyway in a game about stealth. So in a game that's not about stealth, to attempt it and succeed is awesome.
Yeah.
It also does really cool things with the like the sniper drone mission stood out to me.
Yeah. Yes.
You are sort of shooting things from like a robot in the sky. We've done that before. But they kind of give it a cool context. You're like spying on people and sort of helping your fellow soldiers infiltrate a building.
It felt like a kind of different game where they could have expanded that and done multiple things with like that drone, but there was just one small sequence.
Right.
And then you were drawing people out onto like the parking garage with the alarm on the car, and then then they're like, okay, here's a difficult shot. You got to take out 3 guys in a row.
I feel like it's something that you touched on in your written review, which I really liked the idea of, and it's that you basically get to make your own QTEs. Like you create your own set piece sequences.
Right.
Like that bit with the AT or the AST guy, like I yanked him out of the thing. None of you guys didn't experience that. I didn't experience the thing where you shot down the gunship. Like it's very cool, and you can kind of create your own huge events, which is something that I haven't seen in a Call of Duty in a long, long time.
Exactly. Yeah, Call of Duty has always done a good job of making their, like sort of putting the players into this crazy action.
Yeah.
But you feel like you were maybe the start of a chain reaction of something.
Right.
In this, you were part of the process all along. And the other really impressive thing before we move on here was that even in the missions where you sort of are following someone sort of in a straight line, the exosuit sort of enhances how you play, and the movement is really cool. And so even though you are doing that linear thing, you still are
Well, that's
playing
the thing.
differently.
It's the level design themselves feel much more open than anything else. Like, like I said, in the last few Call of Duties that I've played, I mean, the last one I actively chose was like Black Ops 1 probably, but it was still run down the hallway, shoot a bad guy, run down, like literally just like corridors and shooting people. It was almost an on-rail shooter. Whereas here, you're going up, you're going down, you're going around and sideways. Like, it's very, very open, and I really got to commend them for doing that.
There was a section where you could go forward with the rest of your troops, or we found a turret that was like hanging back like really far away, but you could still use that turret to like highlight enemies and it would send out missiles to go kill those guys.
Yep.
You didn't have to do that. It was just there for you to use.
Yeah, so it does a good job of giving you player choice. And on the missions that are more traditional, they're still fun because the exosuit is awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the story. So developer Sledgehammer Games was really touting this story. They got Kevin Spacey, top Hollywood talent in
Spacey,
there.
though.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so one thing I really want to touch on is that Spacey was in the game a lot.
Yes.
A lot more than
Which
I thought
was
he would be.
very surprising
Yeah,
to
tell
me.
me, you like this Spacey?
I like it as Spacey.
Tell me about the Spacey.
I like it as Spacey. As with any action movie, I'll say, because I mean, really, that's kind of what the story of this Call of Duty game is. You've got some of those moments where you're just kind of like, Spacey.
Spacey. Like
Exactly.
the guy comes off the screen. and
Exactly.
points. Yeah.
Who else but Spacey?
Yeah.
But on the whole, I thought it was very enjoyable. Yeah.
What about you, James?
There are moments in the story where he tends to be the mouth of exposition. He's there just to tell you about the world and what's going on.
Everyone's the mouth of exposition. In
Yeah,
the first half of that game,
yeah,
though.
yeah, and it kind of sucks.
I specifically pointed some of that out. You want your characters to feel believable because like characters are what move a story forward.
Right. Yeah.
And very early on, Advanced Warfare makes the characters feel like they're there to deliver plot to you, the player, even if that means sacrificing how those characters work together in their world. And it makes them feel like they're sort of like artificial.
Well,
but
no, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Please. No, you go ahead.
That doesn't mean that the characters weren't well acted or performed.
Right.
Especially, Troy Baker's voicing of Mitchell, who's the main character, and Kevin Spacey as Jonathan Irons. They did mostly a fantastic job, minus a few cheesy moments.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing too. Is like, no matter how good an actor is, it's all about what material that they're given to work with too.
Right.
Like, I think honestly, on the whole, I think the story itself is pretty well crafted. There are definitely like stereotypical tropey moments like curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, sir. And we all they're coming from the second you start the campaign.
Right.
But it's okay because they get you through those moments in a way that you're still on board with it, you're still having fun, and you're like, you know what? No, it's fine. That was kind of schlocky, but I'll buy
Right.
it.
There's actually some interesting stuff that they did with the story where they didn't actually include everything in the game. Like a lot of the intel in the game actually unlocks additional things about that world.
Yeah, like the power trailer.
Yeah,
for example.
a
It's
lot
nowhere
of
in
the stuff that
game.
they used in the trailers.
Yeah, like the
is
promo
not in the
materials,
game.
a lot of that, just not in the game.
Yeah, it's in the game in terms of if you find the intel, you can watch it.
Sure, but it's buried in a menu. You
Yeah.
won't just come across it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that was kind of cool where they use the promotional materials to actually kind of like build a mythology or like some
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit of
it-
world building, kind of.
It sort of gave you the sense of the world that you're going to be inhabiting for the next 6 hours.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about the premise. This is about 40 years into the future.
Yep.
Sort of, the weapons are all futuristic, but not so much so that you couldn't really see it
It's
happening.
a believable future. It's not like Blade Runner, let's say, where everything is like weird Egyptian skylines and robots.
And it also takes a lot of cues from modern day news headlines.
Yeah, totally.
There are weapons of mass destruction. I
Drone
pointed out in my
warfare.
review. There's drones. Congress is kind of falling apart and being inactive. And
Well, that's never going to change. But
But yeah, I thought that even though the execution wasn't perfect on it, it sort of was just grounded because it
absolutely.
it worked with real world modern.
Yeah, I feel like
companions.
the world that the writers created within the game itself, like, I think they did a great job. I mean, you drop into any mission and like even just overhearing radio chatter, you're like, yeah, I believe that's actually occurring. Like that makes sense. Like I could see this being the future of warfare.
And it
theoretically.
was also interesting seeing like you go into these areas that you would maybe see in other games like Afghanistan or something, but it was like developed in like new. Like, it felt new because Atlas was coming in and rebuilding these areas because they had a vested interest to do so.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, seeing
and of course
Baghdad
that works
and-
perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, seeing Baghdad in 50 years, I was like, huh. And it's like not something I would have ever thought of, but it's like,
Yeah,
you know
New
what?
Baghdad is in the game. It looks awesome.
It's like this awesome utopia, and it's like, you know what? Okay, sure. Maybe if like it's not a future that I'd ever imagined actually happening, but I was like, maybe if the right people came and got together and made it happen, sure, why not?
We can't talk about the story without talking about the end, and we're not going to spoil it.
No
We're just
spoilers.
going to say, I found it disappointing, and I found it to be a little cheesy, especially from some of the actors' performances. I want to know what you guys think really quick.
Yeah, so the end level is kind of cool because you're doing this cool stuff, but it ends up being just like, it ends up being like the standard, like, chase somebody. And
It's a very James Bondian ending.
Yeah.
It's just like, escape, kill the bad guy, the end. And I don't know about you guys, I wanted just like another 3 minutes of closure on that, because it's just kind of like, we've killed the bad guy and saved the day. Cut to credits, the end. It's like, okay.
I agree. It's a pretty great story, cool setting, a few problems, kind of an abrupt ending, but still definitely worth a play.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So a lot of people come to Call of Duty and they just play multiplayer right away. They completely skip single player. I want to talk about whether you think the single player is worth playing.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think yes and yes. I think it's a good talking point because a lot of people do just jump straight into multiplayer and never take a look at the campaign. But I will also say yes to the fact that they should play it. This is the first Call of Duty I've actively wanted to see the end of, probably in 4 games.
I would agree with that.
Since Modern Warfare 2, really. I have not been like, oh yeah, I got to see how this ends.
Yeah, that's same. I was super into Modern Warfare, and I guess Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2, but
Black Ops was pretty
Modern
good
Warfare
too.
3, Black Ops 2, Ghosts, I wasn't
God, no,
super
Ghosts
into.
was- no,
I didn't really
thank
care
you.
how it ended.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and they always say play the campaign first. You get used to maybe the control scheme for that particular game.
Yep.
In this game, it's very true. You absolutely need to like play it. You need to like understand how the boosting works, and that helps you transition into multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick it up on the fly if you jump into multiplayer, but I mean, as horrible as this is going to sound, the tagline for the game is very right. Power changes everything. Like, I jumped into my first or second, I know, I'm going straight to hell for that one. But no, I jumped into my first multiplayer match after, a little bit of the campaign, like really just after the first mission, and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of times you'll be like, oh, the single player trains you for the multiplayer, but you're really just shooting people, right?
Yeah.
But in this, you have all these exo abilities to worry about. I shouldn't say
Exactly.
worry about. They're really cool.
You
and they're
get to manage them.
Yeah, right. But the one gripe I had with the single player campaign is that you don't get those exo boost and dash abilities.
Yeah,
in
you
every
can't
level.
like choose your own loadout.
Right. So sometimes you'll have like, a grapple and an invis and like a sonic emitter thing. And that's all cool, they're all fun. But in the multiplayer, you always have them, and so you're used to that freedom.
Yep.
Single player does give you some training, and it lets you kind of transition into multiplayer.
Well, I think it wants to force you to become familiar with those specific things. So, like in the mission, in the fusion mission or fission mission, where they're like, all right, you've only got overdrive or no, not overdrive. You've got sonic disruptors, and you've got stim pack. So you just have to get used to using those, so that when you do jump into the multiplayer, you're then like, oh, okay, so here's this, and like you automatically kind of are geared into the best time to use
Right,
those.
because a lot of those exo powers you get are maybe tweaked a bit for single player, but are also in multiplayer.
Yes.
Like a lot of them aren't because they'd be completely overpowered. Like
Yep.
there's an AOE stun that you can use, but
It's massive radius.
Yeah.
yeah.
But they are
Slow motion.
They teach
Maybe
you,
not.
They teach you about like the cycling grenades, which like that's a concept that's like you have to think about. You're like, okay, I know it starts on EMP, and then 2 clicks it goes to I think it's stun.
Right.
Like that's a good like training rather than having to learn on the fly in multiplayer where you have seconds to react and where otherwise you wouldn't.
Exactly. And also, it's a fun campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that. We're talking about the campaign as a training grounds for multiplayer, and that's fine. A lot of people will treat it like that, but on its own, as a unique gameplay and levels and a good story, just
Yeah.
looking at it from that perspective.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, it's the most fun I've had with a Call of Duty campaign probably in about 3 years. I said it before and I said it again. It has shades of Splinter Cell and Halo and other stuff in it. These huge different games that are not what I think of when I think Call of Duty. I think it does a great job of folding them all into it.
So people were asking me in the comments of the review, and this is what I said, and I'm going to stick to it. If you only want to play the campaign, I don't think the game is worth a purchase just for the campaign.
Right.
If you are there to play, if you are interested in maybe coming back and you're looking for something to reel you in, and you also want to play multiplayer, absolutely play the game and get the game. It's just the story is there. There's good acting. Enough of the levels are varied enough to be new and unique, things we haven't seen before, and it's just a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are definitely moments where all 3 of us were laughing. Like not in the like there's a specific thing on the last level where you start out and you see one of the giant mech suits hanging below a helicopter just swinging back and forth, and that made us laugh for no particular reason.
We'd also been playing for like 6 hours
Yes.
straight.
It is silly. The game does some silly things, but
It's an action movie.
It commits to them, and it knows what it's doing, and so it's okay. It gets away with those things.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
Well, except for press F fair specs. That doesn't get it.
See, I disagree. I think that was totally done with a wink and a nod to the audience. I think that's just kind of like, hey,
I don't think it
look at
was.
this. Look at this. You look what you got to do now.
Moments like that aside, campaign is awesome, and you probably should check it out.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Jon Ryan. Thank you, James Faulkner, and thank you for watching. Please let us know what you think of Advanced Warfare in the comments below. And for everything on Advanced Warfare, keep it right here on IGN.